Saturday night, Cowboys at the Rams. It feels like the preseason. These guys play each other out in L.A. every year in the preseason. Class of 2016 quarterbacks, Dak Prescott and Jared Goff head-to-head. Cowboys and Rams. What are you looking for in this one, Sam?
I mean, I think a big thing is the fact that Dallas is now on the road. You know, this has been a completely different team at home than it has been when they've had to travel. This season, they were, what was their home record? 7-1 at home versus 3-5 on the road. That's, again, they played the Seahawks. They looked really good at home. Their defense is phenomenal. I have questions about how well they're going to do that on the road. So I think generally this is a completely different team when they have to travel. The other thing is that as much as teams started to figure out this Rams offense later on in the year, I don't know that Dallas is a particularly good defense stylistically to attack the things that teams were attacking. So maybe they can, but they would have to run a different game plan than the one they used to run. And most teams don't like doing that. You know, most teams do not like deviating from the thing that got them to where they are. There's very few people, you know, Bill Belichick or whatever, that will change their defense completely because it's the right thing to do.
Right, week to week, everything changes.
Versus the thing they're actually good at. So that's the thing to watch for me is what kind of game plan does this Dallas defense come out with? Do they just rely on being a good defense, or do they actually attack the things that have been proven to slow down this Rams offense? And then obviously on the other side of the ball, the question mark for them is always, what kind of Dak Prescott are you going to get?
You know, it's a huge question because even as their offenses move forward, Dak hasn't really improved his play outside of that Week 17 game against the Giants. That didn't mean anything. He played really well. He had his ups and downs even just last week in their wildcard game against Seattle. You're right, though. The Cowboys defense, let's focus on that side of the ball. They like to play single high, cover one, cover three, not completely like Seattle, but in that vein, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's the two high teams, the teams that kind of sat back a little bit in not so much softer zones, but they just had fewer guys in the box and invited the Rams to run and sat on their play actions. The Bears did it well. The Lions did it well. Those teams had success. So we'll see if the Cowboys can do that. But there's a lot of good matchups in there. Can we talk about the run game a little bit?
Can we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to talk about the run game. But this will be fun. Todd Gurley behind this best run blocking offensive line in the league with the speed at linebacker that the Cowboys have, Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith. That's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
That matchup there.
I mean, that's why it's interesting because this Dallas defense could play that way. You know, if they wanted to drop everyone back, flood the zones, try and take away the pass, and basically dare the Rams to run the ball on them the way other teams have, they could do it. And they're well set up to do it because those two guys have freakier range and speed than any other linebacker pairing in the NFL. You know, Jalen Smith is probably one of the fastest point-to-point straight linebackers in the league, and Leighton Vander Esch is able to run down Evan Engram, who runs a 4.4 flat deep down the sideline in Week 17. So it's not like he doesn't have speed to burn as well. Those guys can definitely live with Todd Gurley, and they don't need to be crowding the line of scrimmage to get it done. So, yeah, I think that little dynamic is fascinating, whether they'll be aggressive with those guys, whether they will drop them in to try and help out the passing game and basically rely on their athleticism to come up and deal with Todd Gurley if and when it presents itself as a problem.
Best linebacker pair in the NFL, Vander Esch, 87.5 PFF grade, including the playoffs. Jalen Smith at 85.9. They combined for the second most defensive stops, those tackles in and around the line of scrimmage, second most in the NFL. So we always poo-poo the running game and all that stuff, but there's value in holding a team to 2 yards instead of 5 yards on first down, and that's where this little matchup is going to be important.
Well, the yards are just a bonus, Steve. It's just that you
don't start.
To carry.
Just keep carrying it.
So the other thing about this is if the Rams have a plan B, because that was the big thing over the season, right? Once teams started to figure out how to defend this offense, you know, this Sean McVay magical system that can't be stopped. It's destroying people. Then later on, teams actually started to figure out how to deal with it.
They did.
And there was no sign that the Rams were going to adjust. They were dropping everybody off. So when you hear people talk about it, it's like, well, teams took away the run game, so it started to falter. It's almost the exact opposite of what people in fact did. People backed off the run game completely. They dropped everybody into coverage. They flooded the underneath zones. They forced them. They basically dared them to run the ball. It's like, we're going to take away what you want to do, what you're trying to set up, and your alternative is to go, okay, I will go Patriots on this and run the ball 40 times in the game. And the Rams never did that. In fact, if anything, They swung.
That's balance, right? Balance is being able to win every way that teams allow you to.
If anything, the Rams tried to turn into the skid and pass even more, and it worked against themselves. So I think this is kind of fascinating. Coming off a bye, we don't even know if Dallas will try and do this because, like we said, this is not really what they do on defense. But if they do come into this game with that game plan that's been proven to work, have the Rams figured out over the past few weeks that, okay, we'll take that and we'll run the ball right down your throat every single play, because that's the answer to the defensive question they're being posed, and they never did it so far. Are they prepared to now?
Is it just because they missed Cooper Kupp so much?
No.
Not realistic. But seriously, though, they were the team that was using 11 personnel. So that's running back, tight end, and 3 wide receivers. They used it about 95+% of the time. Cooper Kupp gets hurt. They have to go to 2 tight end sets, which is fine. Gerald Everett is pretty good out there. Tyler Higbee. So they go to much more of a tight end, 12 personnel. So that's 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers. And it just changed what they did a little bit. Robert Woods took a lot more snaps from the slot. Robert Woods, by the way, career year, 88 overall PFF grade. But the Cooper Kupp thing, I'm not saying he's demoralized this entire offense, but they had to change a little bit personnel-wise.
They did. And they pulled in Josh Reynolds, who played almost every snap from the point that he had to come in and start instead of Cooper Kupp. And obviously that's a significant downgrade. Reynolds doesn't have anything like the grade that Cooper Kupp does.
Different style player,
right.
Everything.
But again, the teams were trying to take that away and at the expense of opening up something else. And the Rams never went to the thing that was being opened up. They just didn't want to do that. Now, to me, if you're presented with that problem again, if you roll into this game and it becomes pretty evident early on that the Cowboys are adopting the same game plan that the Bears and other teams ran, this should become a Todd Gurley game. As much as the run game doesn't matter, you should be carrying 40 times in this game because that's what they're giving you. They're giving you a 5-man box and telling you to run into it with the best run-blocking offensive line in the league. Take it.
Right. Yeah, so that we'll keep an eye on that cat and mouse game, and of course, whether the run game is effective or not, Jared Goff off play action, they use it more than anybody else in the league. Number 3 in yards per attempt off play action, 10 yards per attempt there. He had over 12 yards per target, so they like to stretch the field off of play action.
There's a slight flaw in the timer system we got here.
We need the, I think every 5 minutes or so you lose the light on it. All right, let's go to the other side of the ball. Dak Prescott and the Cowboys against the Rams defense. Amari Cooper, since week 9, here's the number. Ready? Dak Prescott's time to throw from 2.84 to 2.53. That's about 0.3 of a second quicker since Amari Cooper showed up.
Just a lot.
That's a massive. That's what Luck has cut his time down this season from his career number. Now I think the more we look at the time to throw number, it has nothing to do with the offensive line, just so people are clear. It's not how much time the offensive line is giving you. It's how much time the quarterback is taking, how much the scheme is taking. And having a receiver who gets open quickly shaves that time just dramatically.
Yeah.
So Dak is getting rid of the ball quicker. Amari is a top 10 receiver in our grades since coming over. 121.5 passer rating. And that's obviously significant for this passing offense.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Amari Cooper, we've always known he was a really talented player. He was the number 1 receiver on our draft board that time. He was the number 1 graded receiver in college that year. He was a fantastic player. His only real issue is every now and again he'd go through these bouts of drops. Like you would get this, and they would last seasons.
18 his sophomore year.
Right, which is kind of weird.
Really
a guy that will swing for an entire season forgetting how to catch the ball. But that was really his only issue. In terms of route running, he's always been extremely good, extremely sophisticated, understands how to get open.
Yeah.
And as we keep saying, that is the thing for wide receivers. Forget how physically dominant they are, what they can do after the catch, what they can do in contested catch situations. Find the guy that gets open the most.
It's absolutely the most important thing, especially, not especially with Dak, with everybody, but Dak, everybody needs open guys to throw to. Aqib Talib is back. Mm-hmm. The passer rating against the Rams with him is 64.3 this year. Against him, 105.2. He's been significant back there. The Rams actually show up really good in our coverage numbers, even without him. So I think the Rams come into this game, like people are forgetting about them. They're the team that had that late season slide. People are forgetting about them, but I think the Rams are looking good for this matchup.
That's a huge thing. People really have kind of forgotten that the Rams, for a good portion of this year, looked like the best team in the NFL. And when you just look at the overall PFF grades, they're still the best graded team in the NFL.
Yeah.
Number 2 is the Saints, who everybody is crowning as the Super Bowl champions. The Rams still have a better grade overall.
I think the consistent theme with with all the underdogs except for the Chargers, I would say they're like this plucky, if everything goes well and the defense plays well, and you could see them pulling the upset, but a lot of things have to go right. I think that's the same thing with the Colts. I think it's the same thing with the Cowboys. It's the same thing with the Eagles when we get to the Eagles-Saints game. The matchup to watch here, Aaron Donald against the Cowboys guards.
Yeah.
Connor Williams, the rookie, has struggled this year, and if he goes up against him for a big chunk of the game, Aaron Donald has a massive advantage. When he goes up against Zach Martin on the other side,
he'll still win.
It's awesome, though.
Yeah.
It's just such a fun matchup. So who are you taking in this one, Sam?
Rams, home team, better quarterback, Rams.
I will also take the Rams. I just think they are they're strong in the right areas. I still think they can throw the ball. They can stop the pass. The Cowboys have a shot if their defense really overachieves for another week, though.